actually talk about what it was like at that time. It was we lived in the mud. We didn't have sidewalks. Didn't have a street, let alone sidewalks, until about 1970s. I remember the house that we're in now, which is really different.
So is that a common saying, like grew up in the mud? Or is that what people say?
When you mention it, that is not a common saying.
Okay.
When you mentioned it, it came to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was
Yeah, because it
fascinating.
was very hilly. The area's very hilly, and yes, the water ran down, and it was always muddy. And we actually, I walked to school too. There was no sense of, no idea of any school buses or anything. We walked. So yeah, we walked a lot in the mud and walked up and down hills. But the house that I'm in now, it was very farm-like too. The house I'm in now had chickens, and this rooster used to chase after me every time I came home from school, trying to bite me, and horses, and people from another neighborhood had all these animals. So, you know, my memories are very, very vivid.
Remember the little small horses?
Yes, yes. And I also remember very well still, well, I remember the little shack, well, I used to call it a shack compared to the big house we're in now, but little house that I don't know why I remember this, but they had an outhouse. So, and I'm only 63. So you can imagine that, you know, you talk about that, you think about your parents and your grandparents, and I remember having scared to go out to the outhouse. But then when we bought the other house, when my parents bought the house that we just sold, of course we had a side bathroom. But I also remember things like in St. Elizabeth was very well attended, and I remember things like people leaving there, escaping, coming and sleeping on the front porch, and nobody would bother them. They wouldn't bother us. They just would fall asleep, I guess. And we wake up in the morning and there's somebody on the porch. And I also remember never having to lock your door, even shut your door at the same time. It's not like that anymore. I remember the milkman coming. I kind of remember his face, believe it or not. A white guy used to come in the milk trucks and deliver the milk and the eggs on the porch. I remember that vividly. So, good times. Anyway, so I should have done a PowerPoint, but I didn't get to it. But my brothers also were in the Boy Scouts at St. John's Church. And that was the 60s, and they had a very large Boy Scout troop. So that there's pictures, you all can see them where my husband was a little tags here. But let's see, here's a picture of me, and here's a house, and here's a picture of me in my little Easter outfit.
I missed that.
You didn't see that? Oh, here we are, the three of us, me and my brother, the two brothers, in our yard. So it was very, the best thing that I remember is that, and I don't know if you know about Ella Paris, whose house, I know you know, whose house was knocked down, but whose grandfather built a well in that house for them. So that I remember her being like a second mother. So my most memorable memories are the people who lived on the street were our mothers, are also mothers and fathers. If you did something wrong, you get it from them before you got home. Mrs. Ella Paris used to. Our way of cursing wasn't the cursing that's going on now. You know, if we said a bad word, hell, or something, she would wash our mouths out with soap. I remember that vividly. So here I am. Here I am with my brothers trying to take my little tricycle that my dad built. Little tricycle this, I'm crying. What else? So I have vivid memories, and unfortunately, my parents both passed, but unfortunately, we had to, I remember this Anacostia pharmacy. I tried to get Anacostia Museum to get all the things when they sold it.
Before you leave, Ms. Paris, tell about the shotgun, and they were building the.
Oh, well, Mrs. Paris is, you know what, I don't remember her husband. I don't know what happened. I grew up with her son, where he was a little older, my brothers were, but I don't remember her husband. But it was her grandfather's shop, I think, that Mrs. Paris had. And I don't know who she was trying to run from the house.
Well, they were trying to build the apartments.
They were trying to build the apartments, but I don't know who she was trying to run from the area. What happened was, okay, so the Elvis Road has changed. And I guess if you go down there, you'll see it, or if you've heard about it on the news, just had a shooting. But in the top of the where Mrs. Trish was talking about, at the top of the hill, there are apartments that are owned by people. And then in the middle of the street, we've done those, and now they're condos or townhouses or
It's
something.
public housing though, in the
It's
middle.
still public housing?
Yeah,
Oh, it looks so nice. But anyway, in the bottom of the street, because my Ellis Road is a dead end, at the bottom there's a circle, the bottom, and I remember this lady who owned this huge house. Oh my gosh, she had grapes, and in our yard we had apples, pears, cherries. I used to climb out my window and eat cherries, and be sick in the morning. And
Yeah, food
we had
around here.
fruit all everywhere. So she had grapes, and we'd go steal her grapes and get stung by the bees. But, so Mrs. Paris had this shotgun, which I think was her grandfather, tried to keep the folks from building their apartments down the street. All of the neighbors, all of the folks did, actually, they tried to, all the homeowners, but it didn't happen. But, anyway, so this is what we look like. We were like playing, this is our neighborhood, the neighborhood dreams. Mrs. Paris' son is here. But that's it. I just wanted to give you some background on. You can look through this book, but she did a very good job about the neighborhood and what it was.
So are there any historical homes on your street now that, like?
Ours is in the store. Actually, the one we live in now is older. My husband did the research on that, basically, and it's 80 years.
It's 1899. There's about 5 houses
Mhm.
still on our street that comes from that period of time.
Yeah, the Fletcher's house, Mr. Fletcher's grandfather had a house there, and it was torn down since 2009.
Yeah. There's just a few left.
And didn't you work for the volunteer when they changed to Anacostia Museum when they was down
Oh,
here?
it's on, I forgot. Yes, okay, so I do remember the street, Martin King Avenue, which was Nichols Avenue, and it was all like downtown. Actually, I remember this building, well, that was a little later, but I remember this building being the Nation of Islam bakery. And it smells so good. But the Anacostia Museum, the one over here, which was the original Anacostia Museum, when I was a teenager, my mother bamboozled us to come volunteer for the Anacostia Museum. And I loved it, of course, ended up retiring from it. But, yeah, I remember when Muhammad Ali came through, trying to develop his chanting piece. Who's the other celebrity? I remember celebrities come through. So what I was part of the Youth Advisory Council, which was called YAC. And it was like my second mother, who was the head of the education department. I don't know if her name was Dora Martin Felton. She retired about 10 years ago now. She developed this group called YAC, and we were in charge of helping with exhibits, the gift shop, helping visitors, and we had a bus we would send out to the community. The bus would take exhibits, and so we were pretty busy.
I just read that book by Yarl Mamet of Georgetown. He was a Muslim who came as a slave.
Right.
And,
We have history on that.
and as his grandfather, his grandson went to Harvard. I think the title was From a Slave Ship to Harvard. Did he have any connection with this side of the river?
Yes.
You would know better than me. Oh,
Not Yarrow directly, but the descendants, the Bill family that freed Yarrow, owned this building.
James Beale was built this house, built this property, I think, as a carriage.
Yes, as a carriage house, and they had those couple of those houses that we see that they're moving. He had owned one of those. That family is the same family that freed Yarrow had moved.
but it's a direct family. I don't know.
No, and February the 19th at the Freer Museum,
Well, he only had a son, and
the-
that son died.
the author of that book that you're talking on will be speaking
Oh, really? Where here?
at the Freer Museum, February the 19th.
What museum?
Freer.
Oh,
Free,
No, Freer.
For your
down,
gallery.
Freer Gallery, downtown, at the Smithsonian.
February 17th?
So that's my little history of being on the, it's changed quite a bit. Of course, in the 80s and 90s, we had the dust and bullets and the gangs and everything, but it's getting better now.
When did that police station close?
As of have more memory than me.
70s, 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And then they built the 7th district up on Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, they actually had a station on Mississippi Avenue for a while before they built the new building up on Alabama Avenue.
That's the door for Brother Abdul-Mateen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well, they my son.
Mr. Long, I'm gonna start like this. Recently, I had a doctor's appointment, right? And he was a young guy, right? And he asked me where did I grow up. I told him that I grew up in Southeast. So he said, oh, I live in Southeast. So I said, okay. So he says he lives over there by Potomac Avenue. I said, oh, I went to school over there, but I grew up on the other side of the bridge. So he said, oh, you grew up in the real Southeast. I said, yeah, I guess so. As a matter of fact, I was born in Southeast. They called it Galvin at the time, which is later became, what they call it? DC General later, right? And I grew up out here. I hope I don't get emotional because I have so many memories right in this block right here and in this building. But I'll start with this. I grew up across the street from the Jewish cemetery that he mentioned. And we called them, they say the projects, but when I first moved into, up there right across the street from Turner School, they did a marvelous job with that school. Stanton Road, Alabama Avenue, 15th Place. I lived on 15th Place 2 different times. I lived on Alabama Avenue in the same, they called it Douglas dwellings. When we grew up, we called it Garfield, right? I guess it was Garfield School up top. And down below that, we called it Garfield. And then on the other side was Knox. These are all public housing. Public housing, I'm not gonna get into a whole lot of things, but public housing was quite different in those days, in the early 50s. We didn't call them the projects. That was something called, everybody had a father. And as a matter of fact, how you got into public housing, your father had to be a World War II veteran or a World War I veteran. That's how you got into these particular houses. So everybody you played in everybody's house, you always saw a picture of the father in his uniform, right? And actually, the neighborhood really didn't go down until the fathers moved out or died out, and that's what happened. Some of them got jobs and better situations, and they moved out, and they began to move in single mothers, And my father died at an early age, so I wound up with, single mother. And the neighborhood changed drastically after the men mostly left, right? But anyway, on the lighter side, there used to be the Carver Theater right here, right? George Washington Carver was a theater right here. There was a theater down where the Thrifty Liquor Store is, on the corner. That was the Congress Theater. We didn't go there much because Nichols Avenue, from after you got out of this block on the other side of Vernon, if you were a black person, you had to have a reason to be on the street on Nichols Avenue, right? The police were different in those days. You had maybe 2 police for all of this down there, right? You maybe had a couple police up here. In my neighborhood, you had Officer Goodall and Officer Hardy. That was who it was. They knew everybody's name. You throwing rocks, they knock on your door. You looking at it, drinking coffee with your parents, telling on you. So it was different. And on the corner, it was the Congress Theater. And I remember this because I loved to go to the movies even as a kid, And that's one of my routines, We hustle soda bottles and we go to the movies. The Congress Theater had a policy only at the Sunday 1 o'clock matinee could African Americans attend, right? So I never went there much, right? There was another movie around the corner in Congress Heights called The Congress, and that's where we went. And I remember this guy. Now listen to this, and I'm gonna get into because I'm gonna talk about this block mostly, you know what I mean? And so, I used to hate the horror shows. It scared me to death, but I always went in there, cut my hole in my popcorn box, and looked at it, you know what I mean? And so, it was, you know, as a young guy, I adored the older guys, you know, but they would tease you and put their hand on your head and say mean things to you, you'd be like this. So it was one guy, he lived in my court, what we call the court up there, and I particularly liked him, looked up to him, so. I didn't go to movies with him a lot, mostly with my sisters and other people my age. So one day, we go to a movie with him, and we see Frankenstein. So when you come out of the Congress Theater, right there where Malcolm X School is, it was some apartments, and across from Malcolm X is a line of the, you can, you know, that cemetery, we're talking about the Jewish cemetery right there. And where I lived on 15th Place, it was a gate right across there, right? So I live, every day I wake up, I'm playing in my front yard, I'm looking right at the cemetery. It didn't bother me a lot like that. So we come out of the movies, and he tells me he knows where the Frankenstein monster is buried. I'm like, what? I didn't have my sister around, nothing, just me and him. And I said, nah, man, I'm